Well, what's on the agenda for today? We've got parts. And there's the old blue Chevy. Let's get into it. Got bunches of parts. Shiny new bow tie, new grill, new marker lights, which are the old marker lights are probably okay, but these will look better in this new grill housing. The problem is, this takes them little speed nuts, and I don't have any. I've got an old grill laying out here in back. I'm gonna go see if it's got any of the hardwire, and I've also got these. I've got these things. I gotta find them. We gather some parts up. I've got to start this old Chevy and air the tar up on it. You know what? Let's try. She's crusty. Really needs a new seat. I hate to change this seat. It's got fairly good rockers. This is my dad's old truck. Here's the key ring with the tools on it. I don't know if you can see that. If Dad can't fix it, no one can. You have to live by that. At least as long as we believe it, we'll survive as a society. Probably don't need to. That's got showing not much fuel. I'll probably have to put some fuel in it. Cranks. I know it's got fuel injection. I don't need to crank it, but wow, she's a runner. I may pull it up here in the driveway and wash it. I can't do anything with this truck until I put brake lines on it. Smoky. Needs valve seals. Really needs painted. I think there's a hole in the exhaust. Definitely. Flat tar. I don't believe it started as easy as it did. It's on fast idle. It'll chill out here in a minute. I'll put some brake fluid in it. We'll get the tires aired up and get it up here close to the garage where we can work on it. Well, I've already had to make a parts run. Didn't have no brake fluid in stock. I always have brake fluid. I don't know why I didn't have none. I got some hoses for I got a leaky transmission line on the truck that goes to the cooler. Need some of these little castle nuts that goes on these marker lights. I got the old grill that I brought from outside. It's got I can't find the other side of it, but it's got 4. I believe I've got some push locks that I can put on there instead. I was trying to figure this thing out. I was missing parts. It was these little push-in pieces that luckily we had all 4 of them on that other grill, but this thing's going to be nice. I have one little nick in it that'll turn into a giant nick as soon as water gets under it. But inside the cab was all of our star screws and regular Phillips screws. So we've got that. Hopefully this will be ready to put together, but I can't put it in until I find the transmission leak on the transmission cooler. So I'm going to go out and put some fluid in it and start it up and see if I can see where it's coming from. I think the lines are just dry rotted. The lines are more than 20 years old, probably 25 years old on that transmission cooler since me and Matt last worked on it. So I'll take a look at that and see what we can do, and we'll come back. This is a OBD1 style computer system on this. It's real simple. It has 2 fuel injectors, electronic coil, and the computer system controls the idle and the timing. It's just simple open loop, closed loop system. It's just simple on and off and reads voltage, I guess millivolts on the sensors. The code 44 could mean a bad O2 sensor, but on this truck it could also be a fuel injector misfiring, a vacuum leak, could be any number of things, low fuel pressure, because this thing had fuel put in it, and probably, I don't know, we run it some last year, but I didn't put any fuel in it. Probably been 5 or 6 years since any fuel put in. I put some in today, but it could be that. More than likely, it's going to be some type of vacuum leak or the O2 sensor wiring. I can see a sensor down there. I'm guessing that's it, and the cap's pulled off of it. Let's see if there's one on the other side. Must just be that one. So it could be that. And the way you check the code on these are easy to pull codes from. You just need this little, looks like a key, but it's got a little forked end on it. And down underneath the dash, you'll have your computer terminal port. It's right there. And you want to use the top right A and B port. Well, I was talking about this code a minute ago and the battery died. But these OGM OBD1s, onboard diagnostic 1, you can go to the, if I can get the light on it here, go to this terminal down here and put this key in, and it jumps A and B circuits out. Then all you have to do, if I can find the keys, is turn the ignition on. With that shorted out, the ignition will flash a service engine light. It'll flash a long and 2 shorts. Long flashes are 10s and 20s. 2 shorts are 1s and 2s. So it'd be 10, 11, 12. Code 12 means all systems go. And then you start getting your service codes. 10, 20, 30, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10, 20, 30, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's code 44 to flash that 3 times. You'll do it one more time. And that's our code 44 that we're getting. And that's the last one. Now it should go back to 12. 2 longs and a short. Or 1 long and 2 shorts, I'm sorry. 10, 11, 12. So it's went all the way through the codes. When it goes back to 12, it doesn't have any more codes to deliver. It's a simple way of diagnosing your OBD1 engines. It's super simple. You just read the codes. You can look any of them up online. They're available everywhere. They're in your old manuals. But it'll go through that. It'll keep repeating it over and over until you read all the codes. In this case, there's just 2. There's 12 and 44. 12 means all systems go or start. So I'm going to turn the key back off. Don't forget your key down here. Take your little service key out. This thing, lights works in it. The rocker arms. No rust in them at all, inside or outside. There's a little bit of rust around the quarters, which can be fixed easily. Cab corner is good on this side. The bed's got a little ding in it, but it's not rust. It's where somebody's hit it. The doors don't shut fantastic. The problem with this kind of doors is these little hinges bend. The pins wears out, but we've put new pins in this door. The hinge is just bent and it makes it sag. This little thing wears out. And also this is so beat up in here that this needs to be replaced. This lock mechanism. And it'll do way better once I replace this lock mechanism. And where it's been sagged so long, doesn't shut that good. You have to shut it really hard, and it still didn't shut. It still didn't shut. So it's more the lock than it is the sagging hinges. The door's still, you can see that it's down. So it's sagging. Even though I put new pins and bushings in, it's still got a sag, and that's those mounts. They will bend over time. You can put a jack under it and jack these up, and they'll last for a day or two, but they'll usually sag right back out. I believe we found all of our screws for this stuff. So I'm going to come back inside and work on this since it's getting dark. I haven't decided yet whether I want to use the chrome badge or the original one. I ain't made up my mind. And there's our badges. I like the factory one. I wish I could get that stain out of it, but it's got the gold and black. I think I might put the factory one back in. I really like this one, but it doesn't show up on that grill. It just looks like it doesn't have a badge on it. Meanwhile, I've been ordering stuff, and this is a brake press. It's for flaring your brake lines. I've got the old flaring tool, but I don't recommend it. I got some Nycop. I got under the truck right at the end to see where the leak was, and it's conveniently located right behind the gas tank, so which is perfect. And it probably needs about a 6 or 7 foot piece of line. I've got some of this 3/16 Nycop I'm going to use. It's nickel copper. I guess it says here nickel copper. Got transmission fluid on it. 3/16. I got some quarter in there too. I'm not sure what size it is. I believe it's 3/16. But I've got all the fittings here. One of these assorted kits. This all come from the same place. 4 lifetime lines, I believe. This stuff won't corrode as bad as copper lines. It holds a lot more pressure, but it's easy to bend. And you get this little kit. This is just like the Eastwood kit. It's not the Eastwood kit. It's a brand similar to it. It comes with these dies. And you can see on these dies, they'll say like 3/16. It's even stamped inside. It says 3/16. Now you've got a 45-degree double bevel flare, or you can do a bubble. And I'll show you that in a second. Or you can do this DIN, which is international standard. That DIN, European cars will have that. If you'll notice, the shoulder is square, and this one has a 45-degree like flute in it. It's hard to see really, but you want to use on domestic cars and some Japanese cars. You use this 45-degree flare, and you can see on this piece that it has a what they call a double bevel. And all it means is you've made the bevel fold back in on itself, and this 45-degree nut, it fits right inside there. And then you've got a 45-degree nipple inside of your brake line that this rests on, and you don't have to tighten it a whole lot with these copper lines. It'll seal right up. It holds a lot of pressure. But you do that with these little dies here. You just lay it inside there and put it together. And then you put it in your brake press. And this is the easiest system that I found. And I stuck it out a little bit. This ain't a very straight line that I've got. I stuck it out just a little bit past the tip there, and I'll show you why you do that. You fold this over, and this is what holds the dies together. Then you push this pin in, and now this is locked. And just tighten it ever so slightly, but you don't want to tighten it all the way up yet. You go to this piece here, and this has what they call Operation 0, and it's just a flat piece. And all that flat is doing is when you push it in, it just makes sure that that line is flush with the front of your die. So that's flush. Now I want to lock this down, lock this piece of line in. I've already cut and cleaned that line. Oops, it's kind of coming loose on me. I'm going to tighten it down pretty good. And now you want to go to, that's a 3/16 line, so you want to go to 3/16 Operation 1. Pretty simple. 3/16 Operation 1, and what that does, that'll give you a bubble. It'll roll it in on itself and give it a bubble flare. You know, push it all the way till it bottoms out. That feels like it's at the bottom. So inside there, it's hard to see. I don't want to take it out because I don't want to lose the position. If you can see it, inside there, there's a bubble flare in there. And and that's the European standard, but I don't think the bubble flyer for European has the 45-degree bevel on it. I think it has the DIM, which is a flat bevel on the back, or not a bevel at all. So next you go to operation 2, 3/16. I can't see it when I'm looking down at it. Operation 2, 3/16. And all that is just a point. And that's going to drive your bevel back inside of the line. So I'm going to push that in there until I feel it giving me total resistance. It's bottomed out. Now what I was supposed to have done, I didn't do it because it's an old junky piece of line. You're supposed to put some NICs on this. It keeps you from wearing your tool out, and I didn't do it, but you're supposed to put NICs on that before you do your flares. And now I can loosen it up, unpin it, and take it out of the block, and I should have the most horrible looking flare you've ever seen in your life. It didn't work out. That just looks terrible. It's all pregnated around the bottom. Did I mix my dyes up? Nope, I got a 45-degree. I did have a lot of waves and stuff in this, so that may be why it turned out so bad. But the first one I done, this is my practice one, it came out perfect. It could be because I didn't put any NICs on it. It just resisted. Got stuck and resisted. So I'm going to cut another piece and we'll try it. All I'm using to cut it, this little pipe cutting tool. I had to get a new one. I've got 3 of them, but the blades ain't no count in them. Some of them, the wheels are locked up. So I had to get a new cutting tool, pipe cutting tool. You can get these at any big box store or any hardware store. Get these in, pick these up anywhere. This one comes from Amazon, but I'm not necessarily promoting Amazon products. You can get them anywhere you like. It's hard to do one-handed. It's getting there. Or is it? It finally came off of there. Now I've got this tool here that has a outside cleaner and an inside reamer. It's hard to see. Maybe I can pop it out here. So it's got a little small reamer on it. It goes up to 1/2 inch, I think. Then it's got a reamer here, and I'm just going to clean this line up, and we'll come back. You really just want to get that cut section out and get it cleaned up. And I'm going to set it back up in the die like we did a second ago, and I'm going to put some NICs on the tip of it. Okay, now we're back at operation 0 again. I'm just going to push it back until it is solid against the block. Now we'll tighten it down. We got it tight. Now we'll go to operation 1, 3/16 right there. Now we'll bubble flare it. Now we want to go to operation 2, 3/16, which is the orange one. And push it in until it seats. And that should be all there is to it. Open that up, pour your pin. It's in there pretty solid now. And it done exactly the same thing. Maybe not. It's hard to tell. I'm obviously doing something wrong. Because it's not getting, the chamfer's not coming out right on it. It's making this big knot in it. It folded in on itself awesome. But I don't think a nut's going to go up on there. Let me get a 3/16 nut out of here. Yeah, there's no way that's gonna. It might. Well, I got the wrong one. I got a bubble flare. .3/16 inverted flare, and that's 10 millimeter. I guess it'd be one of these up here. 3/16 inverted flare, 3/8 by 24. That goes right up on there. But that, I swear it shouldn't have that big lump in it on the back side. If it's on there nice. I believe I'm seeing a reflection. That's what it is. I'm seeing a reflection. I thought it had a big lump on it. It's just a reflection. Maybe the other one turned out the same way. Oh, that was definitely got a lump on it. So there's a little bit of a learning curve. It's sure easier than using the little dies, though. But I've only got maybe 3 or 4 little pieces of line to do. Just long. I got long pieces to do on the truck. So hopefully I got enough. I got another roll of this stuff coming. But I also got these little benders. They work okay, but they're sharp on this back side. And as you're bending it, they put a little bit of a sharp place right there. I was bending this one a while ago, and it left all these little nicks in it. And you definitely don't want that. But I have a small tube bender that's just a circle, and that'll be the best thing to use for these, because this is so soft, and these things have got this sharp edge on the back. I wouldn't recommend these. I know Eastwood sells these, and everybody sells their own version of them, but for them being sharp right here, I don't know. This little reamer works okay, but I may be cutting too much of the metal, and that might be why it's bubbling up. Who knows? It's going to take some practice. I got these little lights, side markers. These are blacked out. I think they'll look pretty good on there. It might look like they're just broken out. They may not look good at all. Here's the factory ones. They're not very pretty, but they can be cleaned up. There's nothing wrong with them. But I don't have all 4 of them. I've only got 2. I can't find the other piece of the grill, the one that got busted. So we may be going with blacked out for now. See how they look. If we don't like them, we'll get something else. Made in China. Feiberg. So Feiberg's in China, I guess. But with this brake kit, you got all kinds of different dies you can use. You've got 1/4 inch DINs, the square shoulder for the bubble flare. Then you got the inverted 45 degree, which is nice. Here's one with a piece of it's like metric. 5/16 or 8 millimeter. And that came with it, this little flare did. I guess that worked for like transmission lines and stuff, maybe. And then you got a 3/8. It only has just one end. 3/8 45 degree. I don't know that I've used a 3/8 line. Maybe that's what transmission lines are. And this is 1/4 inch. It's got a DIN on one side. And it's 6.35 millimeter. You can also use metric. The 3/16 line, you can use metric fittings. That's why I've got metric and standard fittings, because Matt's truck uses the 10 millimeter, just the 45 degree 10 millimeter. Now I think there's some 37 degree stuff out there that's like hot rod stuff. I don't know if anything on the Nova's like that. The Nova's out, by the way. It's not here. It's out getting a shakedown run. My grandson drove it to work. It ain't been drove this spring yet, so the Nova's gone. Maybe it'll come back in one piece, hopefully. But I did want to talk about this brake line thing a little bit. I've got to cut me a line out and make one tomorrow. I better practice a little bit first. I guess we'll pick this back up tomorrow when I get ready to put the brake lines on. It might be a few seconds for you, but it'll be in the morning for me. Well, here's the old brake line off the Chevy. There's a hole right here. It was right behind the gas tank, naturally. Had one union in it, and I never got that union out because it was hanging on the gas tank brackets. This thing's probably 10, 12 foot long. We did get the grill in the truck. No side marker lights. I did get the other line made up and put on. You can see there's a torch, side cutters, vice grips, fluid everywhere. It got ugly. I only know 2 languages, English and bad English, and I didn't want the bad English to be on camera. So I got the other line on, and as soon as we put pressure on it, it's down in here, that one that goes across the rear end there to this wheel popped just as soon as we got it bled. So I got 2 more lines to make. I'm going to make the rear end ones. I'll probably change that rubber hose on the rear end. But that's all I can do this weekend. I did get the grill on. I found the hardware for it. The badge that I ordered with the grill doesn't even fit. Fits the holes, but it doesn't sit down in the recess like it's supposed to. I got that Argent grill like it's supposed to be. Got new marker lights. It's going to look pretty good. I mean, it's a rough old truck, but it's solid. I think I've got one rust hole over here in this cab corner. And then I've got rust over top of the fenders, but the inner fenders are good, so I'll be putting some patch panels in. I'll fix this one of these days. I said before, it is my dad's old truck, and I really want to get this thing back right. Working around under it though, realistically, the motor, rear mains out of the motor, it's pouring oil out. There's oil pouring out of the transmission. Transmission's been rebuilt years ago. I decided I'm going to go ahead and pull the engine and have the transmission going through, and I'm going to go through the motor myself. There's something supposed to be special about this motor. I don't know what it is. I want to get it tore down and find out. I don't want to trade it in. I'm not sure if it's a 4-bolt block. I don't think it is. It's hard to tell down in there where the pad is. It is a 4-bolt main. You see that number pad where the stamping is? You don't have to look at the numbers on it. You just have to look at the width of that number stamping pad. If it's cut off on both sides and it's short, you've got a 4-bolt main without looking at anything else on the block. Here's another one. This is a Vortec, and it's a 4-bolt truck engine. I've got another one here. We'll look. There's another one with a short. It's got a short stamping. It's only like 1.5 inches long. This is definitely a 4-bolt. I know it is because I've got the pan off of it. But also on the side of the block, if it's a 4-bolt main, it'll have 010 stamped on the side of the block. And I think part of the engine number would be like 0001 or something. There's always a 010 inside of the block, and that number pad where the water pump bolts on is always, in my experience, a short number pad. I got another block somewhere that's got the long pad, and it's a 350 with a 2-bolt. I've never seen one in the past that had the short pad that was a 2-bolt main, but of course in later years they may have changed it. May have changed the way they cut these blocks. I don't know, but we'll find out in the future. I'll get this out and we'll go through this mystery motor and try to find out what made it so special, why it would pull up this big mountain we got around here with a boat on the back and pass everything on the road. It's almost the 20th anniversary of my ticket in this truck, my first speeding ticket. That'll be in, I guess, June. It'll be 20 years since I got a ticket. I got a ticket for speeding and reckless driving, drag racing. It was everything, but they reduced it all down. I think they ended up throwing it all out, but it's still on my driving record. I think what got it through out is he put faulty equipment on the truck, and there was nothing about the truck that had faulty equipment, and he couldn't remember. The state policeman couldn't remember what the faulty equipment was, so they tossed it out. But it's still there. It's still on my record, even though I didn't pay a fine. 20 years later, you can do a background check, and the only thing on my record is speeding and reckless driving and faulty equipment, and no charges. And I won, by the way. The boy was driving a brand new 2002 truck, and He's a little teenager, and I beat him by 10 car lengths. And then the state police got behind me and took us both back to the state police station. He left and made us sit there for 30 minutes like two scolded children. We had to sit and wait on our fate. I was 33 years old, and I felt like a child, but I was doing childish things, so I got what I deserved. I know this truck's fast. I don't know why. We'll break into it and find out. It does have the 4-speed. It's got the overdrive automatic transmission. I guess it's a 700 R4 in this truck. But it starts right up. It does need an oxygen sensor. Since I'm going to have to go through and put sensors and fix all the vacuum leaks and put new exhaust on, I'm just going to tear it out and redo it and take my time. I've had 20 years to redo it, so I'm just going to do it. Take my time and find out. We'll find out together what the mystery is. Well, thanks everybody for riding along. Stay tuned. We'll have more on this truck. I got more parts coming. Getting ready to order more. And I wanted to show using our little brake thing. I finally figured out what I was doing wrong on our brake tool. I wasn't pressing it hard enough, and it was leaving that dent in the bottom of it. But this thing has, I think it's got Keystone wheels on it. It's a good old truck. It's beat up, but I'll never part with it. I'll drive it until it rots into the ground. And that, I looked under the frame's good. It's got a little bit of rot on the frame back there around the bumper where mud lays, but there's no rot underneath. The rockers are good. I think I can get this door open. That rocker's bad. The rocker on the other side's good. I'll put a rocker and a cab corner in this. I'm going to take the bed off. It's had straps put on it, and it's damaged. They put straps underneath the edge of the lip, and it's damaged it, but I think I'll fix that best I can, then put bed caps on it. It's had this mat in it its whole life. And the bed's practically perfect. There's not a dent in it. And I've really worked this truck, and so's my dad. For it to not have a bunch of dents in it is amazing. Tailgate, not so much. I don't believe there's any rust in this bed either. There's some here over the fenders, which will be easy to fix. Tailgate's ugly, but it's in good shape. A little bit of rust right here where this trim is. Easy fix. It'll all be fixed someday. But thanks for riding along, guys. I do appreciate you hanging out. If you're subscribed, check and make sure that you're still subscribed. The algorithm on YouTube is kicking people off as fast as you're subscribed. I don't know why it's doing it. It's unsubscribing people. Check and hit that bell notification every time we post a new video. It'll give you a notification. You can watch it and hang around with us. You guys have a good weekend. Stay clean, everybody.